This is the Segovia Show.
Greetings, one, greetings, all. It's a new year. Happy New Year to everyone. This is the first official live stream on Rumble as a Rumble partner for 2026. I'd like to give a shout out to Rumble for accepting me. Took a little longer than I liked, but hey, we're here now. That's awesome. I like when platforms show content creators love, and I know Rumble has been the biggest name out there as a competitor to YouTube. They're not the only ones, but I am grateful to be here. I've been a partner with Rumble before, hence the hat up here. It's just things were a little different for 2025, and I imagine they were experimenting. And once they opened up for the end of the year to to try to reapply and get in, and next thing you know, here I am. So I am happy to be here. I am very happy to see some of the changes that were done on this Rumble Studio that make this considerably easier for content creators to get this out there. And what I love even more is that I'm not just here on Rumble. This stream is going out to those of you on Play TV, Gangjin World, on X, of course, YouTube, and a host of other places that if I try and name them, I'm going to forget some of them. So it is great to be here, and I have a bunch of chat windows open up on my right screen, and some of my I have a third screen here too, because some of these chat windows will not appear on the Rumble Studio feed unless you're, I believe, on YouTube, Twitch, Locals, and Rumble. So those are the ones I'll be able to see. But anybody else, I'm gonna try to look at the other screen. So I know there's some people saying hello on over on Play TV. So thank you, S. Gonzalez Almonte. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I've seen you active there on Play TV. Thanks for tuning in. You're on Rumble too, huh? All right, cool. So, well, welcome everyone. I'm gonna do some housekeeping real quick before I get into the topics that I have lined up. Topics being stuff that's along my wheelhouse, but I will be talking about some tech stuff. I did a video I wasn't planning on doing over the weekend. I had to do it at the very last minute because once I saw the announcement, I knew I had to cover this, and it's become one of my biggest tech coverages that I've done in the past month. So I knew that was going to be big news, and I'm glad that it was. And here we are. So I will be touching on the Clicks communicator. I'm going to be looking at the Pebble Round, which is something that I've always loved but never got my hands on. If you don't know what Pebble is, it's a smartwatch that actually they pioneered the smartwatch pretty much, and it was my first smartwatch. And I'll get to that when I get to that, because CES is going on. I was able to see some photographs of the actual products finally out in the wild, or in this case, in a booth. But at least it was outside of just videos. So I will share some of those pictures from Michael Fisher over on Threads. But before anything else, I do want to take some time to welcome the very many of you that are watching from across many platforms that are new to my show. So I think what's going to make this round with me as a partner with Rumble different is that I'm better prepared and better equipped than I was the first time around, which was almost 2 years ago, which is crazy, because I wasn't a live streamer. I would film, edit, and publish. That's normally how it went. But Rumble really made things a little different. It really pushed me to do more live streaming, and I'm glad that I did because I've always wanted to be. Well, I always want to have something that involved live engagement with people, and because now that I'm considerably better equipped and a lot more practiced in what I do here, especially I enjoy doing lives and chatting with the groups. I see Nico Coconut saying hi over on Rumble. Hello to you too. If I blush, that's because that's the wife. So, hi, honey. Thanks for supporting. But when putting all this together, I knew I wanted to do this. I tried last year, but my schedule was crazy, so I couldn't. And this year, now that I'm a partner once again, I wanted to do live tech reviews. This is different than what anybody else has done. Every tech reviewer over on YouTube does the same thing. They put together a video, they give you the hardware breakdown, then they give you their take on it, and that's that. Sometimes some of them would, if they're on socials, would tease that they have the product and would ask you what you want to see in the review. Whereas this time, if I can, I rather do the review as I go and involve you in it, because if I miss something, I want to know in real time if I missed it and be able to address it while I can. So I'm gonna see how I can do the schedule for Rumble, because I'm gonna be doing a lot more episodes. Normally I do once a week. This time I'm going to be doing maybe multiple a week, maybe three, four, sometimes even five a week for the foreseeable future, at least January. Okay, at least January, because I'm still not entirely clear how things are going to go with the Rumble program. So I'll see about that. But on top of that, this is exclusive for Rumble. Okay, I have to throw this out there because there is an exclusivity for Rumble, and it's something that I've wanted to do for the longest time. It was supposed to be for my locals, but for my locals it would have just been that very niche group, where in this case I'm able to invite anybody that's a Rumble Premium member, and I invite you to be a Rumble Premium member because you're supporting free speech. But what I do ask of you, if you're going to see it, I have these books over my shoulder here. Okay, it's a romantic comedy series that's it's supposed to tell the high school hijinks and a bunch of stuff about the many misadventures of Enoch Bellagio. So Enoch Bellagio was growing up from high school, after high school, and figuring out his way in the world, and eventually being ready, as the title says, finding love to find the woman of his dreams. And in this case, it's my story. So this romantic comedy series is my story, and I'm telling it through this third party character, and it's how I came to meet my wife. So I won't get into all of it and what came about and inspired it, but I have three books entered into the series, and it does complete a story arc. It's available in Kindle and it's available on print exclusively on Amazon, along with my The Under Segovia show book. But I've always wanted to do the audiobook, and I have talked to voiceover artists about this and how it might be able to make it work. But I always felt that it needed to come from me. And as I wanted to record, I wasn't entirely satisfied about producing it just for Audible. And with Rumble, with the exclusive content, it looks like that's something I'll be able to do. So I'm intending on doing in my audiobook, at least at the very least for the first book, Finding Love But Not Really, that I may do that, but it's going to be exclusive for Rumble. So just letting you all know that if you're not on Rumble and you're not a paying member to Rumble, you won't be able to see it. But locals, everyone, you should be able to check that out once it goes up. So just letting you know that I'm excited to bring that to you. That's more probably gonna be more of an evening thing, and we'll see. And it's a good thing you have a bunch of phones to view from the chat. Bro says live search. It's partly true because, well, he is right. I do have I have my Fold 7 right here, and that one's showing me the chat for Gangjin World. But it's I do have multiple screens up, and I usually have another screen in the form of an iPad because I'm able to share that screen. I'm able to see it all, but it gets so chaotic. It's very chaotic. But another thing I wanted to throw out there, and it's with regards to, and I'm going to get to this again at the end of the stream. This is more personal, way more personal. It's something that I enjoy doing. Is just that it's going to be more for those that are patient enough to wait after the stream. I did pre-order this book from Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk was releasing this book. I believe he announced it before his passing, and it was supposed to release at the beginning of December. It was delayed. I was supposed to get it this week, and it arrived on the 31st of December, and it coincided with what I felt God was speaking to me about. And it's just, it's hard to hear someone speak knowing that he's no longer here. And I know some updates were done to at least the Dust Jacket and Erica Kirk put a forward to this, and now it's more of an in memoriam. And it made it hard to get through it the first few pages because it's the reminder that Charlie's not here anymore. And it's along those lines that I don't do politics on my show per se. Okay, I don't do politics, but this is personal to me. It upsets me, not from the left, mostly from the right, because the stupid infighting and people fighting over the corpse of Charlie Kirk trying to take his mantle as if there's a mantle to take. So I might weigh in on that later, because or else I'm going to take too long in all this. Because for those of you on YouTube, this is for you on YouTube. You guys know I've been fighting every single day now for the past 2 weeks for the copyrights to my own song. It's insane. I sometimes get anywhere from 5 copyright claims, at least 2 a day. and I keep winning. Sometimes the disputes are released within seconds at this point, but they keep dinging me, and I have a bunch of episodes on YouTube. YouTube is the biggest of all my libraries with about 1,000 videos at least. So there's a lot of videos for them to parse through and ding. And I keep providing the same thing over and over again, and I keep winning. Today, for sure, I'm going to be hit. But there's a topic that I got to cover, and that's about Mamdani and the whole landlord war he's waging that I have to cover. And without a doubt, because every time I bring it up, YouTube throttles the stream. So I may cut off the stream to YouTube when I get to that topic. So I'll cover tech first, and a lot of you over on YouTube are probably here for tech. So let me qualify myself, especially to all of you that are new because of the big news over the weekend that I covered on tech. My background is in real estate, construction, and property management. Okay. So how does that have anything to do with tech? Tech allows me to do all those jobs efficiently and effectively. On top of that, I also cover tech. My YouTube channel started because of tech at least 10 years ago. Thank you. YouTube was my first partner. But they only partnered with me because from my own hard work, I was getting to 1 million views. YouTube partnered with me and started just silencing a bunch of stuff altogether, not because they had any issues with me, but because they were after big conservative groups, and the algorithm was going crazy, and it was just targeting anybody that might say a word they didn't approve of, or, and if you're familiar with this, it's called the Vox Apocalypse, or if you touched on a subject that they found controversial, even though you didn't really have an opinion about it. So that's what made it very difficult for me to grow on YouTube. Some of you have beat the algorithm and found my stuff. Thank you so very much for that. But you have to understand that as a content creator, it's incredibly infuriating. But at the same time, I gotta thank YouTube for this, because if it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be all these other platforms like Rumble and Play TV, because I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be there on Gangjin World. Last year, I became a partner with Gangjin World. Like, what's that? For a lot of people here in the States, you might have heard of it. But if you're familiar with NTD News or the Epoch Times, which is their sister companies, then you should be familiar with Gangjin World, because technically, like YouTube, but safe for families, and has a ton of the same features as YouTube has. But their audience really is catering more to international audiences, in this case, Far East Asia. And because I do have an interest in Asia, I married into the culture. I have an audience growing there. So I'm trying to do more content for Gangjin World that is also in that language. And it's along those lines also that I want to say on Rumble exclusively, I have a Spanish channel that I'm starting to promote and grow here. So I had an incident happen over the weekend. I was at a checkout aisle at a supermarket. Ironically, it was a Chinese supermarket, and the one that was attending the cashier was a Hispanic woman. So I'm walking over to put my stuff in, and as I'm gonna read your comments here, I see the stuff coming up, and as I was coming to the checkout, because English was not her forte, I'm speaking to her in Spanish, and then I asked her in Spanish, do you have bags that we can put all this stuff in? Because I didn't bring any of the tote bags here in California. And she said, they're only paper. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, I know the stupid rule change that came into this year to get rid of single-use plastic bags. I'm gonna be touching on this, by the way. And then she started going off. I know it's so pathetic. And then she started going through this and to that. And every time this guy wakes up, he just wonders, how am I gonna F these people up today? Man, F Trump. And I'm with her all the way through, by the way. All the way through. I'm with her. I'm like, yep, amen, amen. Then she says F Trump. And I'm like, huh? So then I'm paying. I'm like, excuse me. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say F Trump or F Newsom? Because this has nothing to do with Trump. It has everything to do with Gavin Newsom and his rules on the green environment stuff. And she just looked at me and kind of blinked that she didn't even know or understand where this really was coming from. She just assumed it was all Trump. Every bad news has to be Trump. And that's what really got to me, because my community is entirely underserved. We basically have one major news network that speaks to my entire population. It's called Univision or Univision. And at several years ago, Hugo Chavez had like 33% influence on Univision, which is ironic because I had to talk to my family and tell them, you're listening to a station that's speaking to you here in this country, but is pushing the agenda on you that you ran away from your country from. It's like, why do you not make the effort to understand basic English? So it's sometimes my people don't do the legwork, so I have to do the work for them and get out to them and be able to speak to them. And Spanish, unfortunately, is something that I have to, in a way, relearn. So I will put more content on my Spanish channel. It's called El Andres Segovia Show, here exclusively on Rumble. So I got a couple of follows over there already. And as I'm going to shift over to tech, and just to wrap up, I don't entirely know how the schedule is going to look like for the month with multiple streams, but it's going to be a little bit of something for everyone. So at least the heavy on the politics, if you will, streams are not going to make it to YouTube all the way through. So for those of you on YouTube, you can look elsewhere. Come over to Rumble, come over to Play TV, and you'll be able to see the uninterrupted stream. Okay. Now let me just catch up on some of these chats before I dive into the tech stuff. And locals, I think we have 10 more minutes. I'm sorry about that. You could jump over to Rumble. So S. Gonzalez, you're weighing in. Play TV needs to open up for everyone. I get it. I understand the sentiment, but I also understand what it takes to develop these kind of things. If you go over to Parlor right now, and if you don't follow Scott, he's a photographer. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna butcher your last name, dude. Berlung, is it? Shout out to Scott. He every now and then he does a really good roast and ribbing. I have to laugh because in some cases, it's true. There are bots that have entered the platform and they're flooding the welcome feed. And we know that it's whatever. But the point is, this is not unknown to platforms. It happens. It happens even to the smaller platforms that people don't know about. And I have to call out certain accounts that pretend they are someone and they're not, because on a different platform they admit to not being that person. They created this persona, but on other places they get all this engagement, and then if they use a female picture, they're getting simps. It's nasty engagement farming. So in order to control at least the bots, and you can't imagine how much nasty live streaming can happen that could break the function too if the floodgates were open to allow just anybody to live stream, especially if they're live streaming content that's not theirs. So there's a lot of legality that's involved in it, for us content creators and for platforms that host these content creators. Okay, so I get it, but I will pass the word along about what steps you would need to be able to stream on Play TV. And over on Rumble, live search app. By the way, you guys, if you guys like stats, there's a lot of work that goes into this. Live search app is one of those stats, and every now and then he pisses me off, not because of what he's posting, but because of what the results are. Because there's some individuals and like, why the hell are people saying? But then again, engagement farming, rage baiting, absolutely. So he says that's the best strategy. Cover some things on YouTube, then switch over to Rumble for anything that could be controversial. Yeah, and that's the thing, live search. Some of the stuff isn't controversial, but they make it controversial. It's pathetic. And this whole copyright thing, I've won some disputes. Well, I won all the disputes, but on some cases, what YouTube will do is that, okay, well, you're not monetized for this other reason. And then like, why are you slapping me with an 18 and over only on the video? Because then it makes me look like I put restricted stuff available to the general public, and then that flags my channel, which is so stupid. Ugh. But anyway, I'm not giving up on you, YouTube family. You guys are my biggest audience, my most engaged audience by far, and I'll be reading your comments at the end of this stream. So while we still have a few minutes for you guys, let's jump over to tech. I gave a lot more of an update than I expected, but that's because you guys are also lively in the chats over here. So thank you very much. By the way, what makes it difficult to try to time it with Gangjin World is that they're operating on a different side of the hemisphere. So sometimes I have to premiere videos like when I'm asleep, so I can't engage with them. But at least for those of you in Ganjin World, if you're new around here, go check out my pinned post on my channel where I'm answering all of your comments that you've left on all my videos. Thank you so very much. You've given life to episodes that some people have never even heard of because you were starved for content. So I like making that happen. Alrighty, okay, I think I'm caught up with a lot of these comments over. Yes, I am. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about, let me get the Pebble round out of the way, okay, before I enter the controversial stuff. So let's see. This is from Captain Two Phones, that Michael Fisher over on Threads. And yes, I'm across anything and everything, folks. And for some reason, it's showing you the video of this. I don't know why it's showing you that one. Oh, that's why. Sorry. Let me see. How come it's not bringing to the stage? It's not sharing the thing. It says that it's sharing, but it's not sharing. StreamYard, what's going on here? Add to stage. There. Why do I have to do that? That's weird. Let's go to this. Let's make it bigger. Now it looks weird. Okay. All right. I guess StreamYard glitched right there. Okay. Alrighty, let's Captain Two Phones, Michael Fisher, Mr. Mobile himself. He said he finally got to see the resurrected Pebble in the flesh. While both Pebble 2 Duo and Time 2 took look quite solid, the real star of the show was the $199 Pebble Time Round 2 announced just before CES. Yes, I for those of you on YouTube, you would have seen it on the community post. He said, check out the shot of Eric Miji. Oh, that's short for Migagovsky. I've always had a problem mentioning saying your name, but yeah, holding the Time Round 2 alongside its predecessor. Oh my goodness, yes. So I put the Pebble Round as a definite improvement. So let's see. All right, let's see how you guys see it. Yeah, you guys can see it. All right, so this over here, um, this looks like the steel. This is like the steel also. I think these are all steels here. So that means this is the, oh my goodness, that looks so beautiful. The Pebble Time Round was the Pebble I couldn't get. And I think there's a side by side here. All right, so that's what it looks like up close. My goodness, that's awesome. That's the steel. Yeah, is he gonna show the duo? And there's the duo. So this is that's yeah, it's supposed to be the duo. It's supposed to be like the same plastic body from how they showed it before. Oh, by the way, how am I doing on time? 5 more minutes, locals. So there we go, the Pebble Steel, which I intend to get, but shipping is not widely available. Where's the side by side with the old round? I want to see the. There it is. So this is my goodness. Look, the old one, even with the chunky bezel, it still look nice. It's just that if you're familiar with the Pebble itself, the screen was already too small. Not that I minded. And this one, well, what can I say? This one, they got rid of the chunky bezels and stretched out the screen. Now it's appropriate. Oh my goodness! For those of you that are not familiar with the Pebble, it's an e-ink paper display. In this case, color display, and the battery life was phenomenal on these watches. And I hope they're more efficient than ever before. So what happened was that it shocked us all because this was a Kickstarter thing. So it was a crowd-funded tech, and it was the most successful at its time crowdfunding project, I believe, in the tech category. It might have been outside tech category too. And this thing became my first watch, my first smartwatch. I did not believe in wearing smartwatches, but when I finally ventured out to get one of these was because I almost died in a real estate transaction. Not a joke. It was a high profile, well, a high intensity where everything that could go wrong did go wrong in that transaction. And it was around Thanksgiving, like at least 10 years ago. And I don't forget it. After that, I said, dude, I almost veered off the road, off a cliff, because I was trying to reach for my freaking Blackberry that was blinking his red light at me because that always was a thing of anxiety, all for a spam email. There had to be a better way. That's how I got a watch. So it was a heartbreak to see the watch go away when Eric shocked us all as he was crowdfunding other projects for the new watches that were coming out. And then he announced that he sold it to Fitbit, which Google ultimately ended up buying. So like, why would you do that? And Fitbit said that they were going to keep the community alive, they're going to keep the products alive. The first thing they did was get rid of the product. They kept the community, they kept the OS and did nothing with it. And eventually, because Google ended up buying Fitbit, I don't know if that's the way the events happened, but because Google owned Fitbit, they ended up open sourcing Pebble OS. So Pebble, this is the original Pebble OS. And when Eric announced this project again about a year ago that it was coming back, it was called Core Duo. It didn't carry the Pebble name, but he was able to win the Pebble brand name back, and now he can use it for these new devices. So it's awesome to see it come back. I want this thing badly. and I'll just keep waiting. But the thing is, what it feels like this year is going to be, and locals, thank you so much. We're just about to time out, so jump over to Rumble, please. And if you're a Rumble Premium, then you'll be able to tune into the other content, especially for locals. You guys, what you would have seen, I'm bringing exclusive Rumble exclusive content. Stay tuned for that. Okay, so with the return of the Pebble, and now with this, with the Clicks Communicator, which is the spiritual successor to BlackBerry, made by and designed by teams that were involved with BlackBerry, it's just like it's like a return to form that the tech world's been missing. And there were some questions that I raised in my video. What is the Clicks Communicator? The What Is series was started by the controversial Freedom Phone, and it's come a long way. Some stuff ended up being good from the What Is series, others not so good. This is one of those that I have high hopes for, and I trust the team behind it. And I've told myself I would not go after first generation products ever again. This is not one of those cases. I assumed this was going to happen. It was announced sooner than I expected. It's just great to see it. So with all that we're witnessing with a keyboard phone returning, the return of Pebble, it's like it's a return to form in a way where not only do we have a diverse landscape in phones available to us, especially in the Android sphere, which has always been the case. But about a year or two ago, with even Samsung removing the identity of the Note, they called it Ultra, but then they started stripping away functionality of the S Pen, and the rumors that the S26 Ultra is not even going to have an S Pen altogether. What is it then? It's just a glorified candy bar phone that's more expensive than anything else on the market. So that doesn't make it any special when you can just choose which size candy bar do you want, and do you want it running iOS or Android. That's literally what it came down to. So no, there wasn't much of any choice, and the colors were so muted that we missed these eye-popping colors, and the identity that they're going for with the Clips Communicator, with the swappable backs, with a bunch of other design things that they're doing. Let me see if I could pull it up, because it's just beautiful what they're going after, where you can swap out the backs. Oh my goodness, the LED light returning, the crack light I just mentioned a moment ago. So here, all these different color backs that they have planned to do. Oh my goodness, I want them all, but it only worked best with the Smoke Edition. The Smoke Edition is the white one. Onyx is the black one, and the green one is Clover. And Clover, oh my goodness, forest green. That's what it looks like to me, but it just looks so freaking good. I just don't know how good it will look with a bunch of other cases. But this one would look best, is all I'm saying. Oh, it's been a while since I've been this excited for a product. When we had other phones enter the market, they were all candy bars, but just offered a different flavor of Android or focused on other features over, say, the software, which was really hard to differentiate yourself in the market. So to me, with Unplug's direction, especially what they've done in the past few months, that's inspired that there's a bold new direction going with. At first it was very muted, and very serious, and kind of devoid of personality. Now it's eye popping. The colors are in your face. The logo is pleasant to look at. There's a lot of personality has been injected into the unplugged phone that's made it considered to be more fun to use, honestly. And that's in full transparency. Yours truly has been communicating at least weekly with the dev teams over at Unplug, because I become that involved with them on refining the software experience. So I believe in the mission. They've been very transparent with me. There's no kickbacks that ever provided for me. I've never told you go out and buy an Unplug phone. I never told you use promo code whatever, but I'm just telling you, give them a consideration. I know it's not for everybody, but if you're willing to give it a shot, I encourage you to do so. Which brings me to this. This thing is called a communicator, and I know it caused a lot of confusion for people. And they have it in the frequently asked questions because they're saying it's supposed to be a companion to your everyday phone. It's not saying that the phone is not a phone. You could use it on its own if you so want to. So now that's why some people are asking, well, what's the camera going to be like? What software is it running and things like that? And all I can tell you is that it's running Niagara Launcher. I have that on my key one. So that's what, when I saw it, I'm like, that's my key one right there. And unfortunately I didn't bring it with me, but I have it in the office. But I'm like, that's literally how I'm using my Verizon BlackBerry key one. And this is going to be no different, because if you're not familiar with the Key One, it's literally the last iteration of a tall screen with the physical keyboard on it, licensed by BlackBerry to TCL. Okay, and I use Niagara Launcher on it because the more efficient way of using it. And it's a lean way of using it too. But the thing is, this is a phone, but they also recognize, the creators behind it, that you're most likely still going to be carrying your iPhone as you're carrying an iPhone. You're most likely going to be carrying your Samsung if you're carrying a Samsung. This is meant to, it was first in mind as a companion piece to what you already have as your flagship device. That doesn't mean you can't just use this as your only device. It's just that if you're on like something like Google Fi, for example, on Google Fi, you can have your one line. And this is not a pitch for Google Fi, but I'm just gonna tell you straight up, they have a pretty damn good, cool feature. You can share your data about 4 other devices. And that's, you have your primary device that gets your phones, your text, and your data. And then you can add a tablet, a PC, another tablet, another PC. Hell, you can even add another Android phone to it. Among those 4, you can get a physical SIM or just activate an eSIM that's pre-built into the phone. 4 of them that share your primary line's data for the same price you already have. And I know for a fact some of these content creators, that's exactly what they're using for how they're able to carry so many phones. So with that in mind, I'm like, dude, you guys are smart to do this. And in your approach, they're doing it right. They're not telling you this is this is an iPhone killer, because this is running a MediaTek processor. How it's going to hold up as a communicator, I think it's going to be fantastic. I have a couple of MediaTek powered devices, the Brax 3 phone and the Unplugged phone, and they've been pretty smooth running. Okay, and this, I expect no less from it. In fact, I expect it to be better than any BlackBerry experience we had before, honestly. So that's just it, though. The BlackBerry identity was security. And as someone mentioned in the comments over on YouTube, and this one's worthwhile bringing up because I'm on the subject. Let me pull it up here. I have it at the ready. And welcome everybody that's tuning in. I appreciate you all joining me on this first Monday of the year. This is from Shin Akuma 80. Might make the switch from iPhone to this phone. Need to wait to see early reviews. Not sure I trust the wonkiness or lack of security versus iOS. I get it. But there's a misnomer there. There's a very big misunderstanding. There are some of the most secure phones are Android. Okay. What you should be more concerned about is the leaching of your data. If you are concerned about, well, you're saying security. Security and privacy are 2 different things. Okay, I'll give you that. Security, because Apple does pride itself in security. That doesn't mean they haven't been hacked. And Android gives you more freedom. Okay, so I'm just curious about what would happen with this device, because Clicks was co-founded by Kevin Mikola and was it Apostro? There it is. Was co-founded by what's his name? Kevin Mikola, and he's from crackberry.com, and he's also an investor into another privacy and security focused OS called Apostrophe. People have asked me if I'm ever going to review Apostrophe. The short answer was no, because I don't have a punked phone. I would need a punked phone to make this work. So unless Punked is interested in sending me a phone for a review, then I would test it. But other than that, I haven't seen anybody else running Apostrophe OS. So this is an Android-based operating system. Let me refuse these things. And it's a mobile solution, and you got to pay for it. So that's what happens when you try to focus on privacy, that you need to pay for these services because they're not free. You need servers to run these things. And there's probably an email client, a virus scanner, a tracker, all this stuff. With a mobile ecosystem. Let's see here. What do they have here? Stay protected with your end-to-end security, privacy by default, guard against identity theft, control your own privacy with the mobile solution. You control your data, complete oversight for organizations, flexible deployment plans. Let's enterprise manage your secure infrastructure free from reliance on third-party tech giants. It's so they're going through the entire list of things, but you need to pay to run those servers. They're not for free. And you know who's finding that out because of the struggles that they ran with the French government? Graphene OS. They were over on Blue Sky, and I'm sure on X too, where they were asking for donations like from companies or whatever that would pay for their servers that are in different places. They had one that was supposed to be covered by this company, I think, but whoever it was pulled out at the last moment, so they need this other server in this one place to be covered by somebody else. But they don't charge the user, and in order to stay running, it, I'm sure they're eventually gonna have to, if they're not already figuring it out, they already know they're eventually going to have to charge for Graphene OS. And I know that's going to aggravate the user base, but honestly, you can't get something for free the whole time. Makes me think of communism when you really think about it. You just want it for free at the labor of somebody else. But we'll touch on that in a bit. But that's just the thing. Will we be able to use apostrophe OS on Clicks Communicator? Because that's the answer we do not have. We don't know what version of Android 16 this is running. And by all intents and purposes, it's most likely running on Google. That's Google Play services, Google mobile services, and things like that. Because I can't imagine them launching a phone that's not going to be able to run Google, and the user base will get pissed off about it. But at least given the option to unlock the bootloader and swap OS, I know that should be an option. But will the option also allow for apostrophe? Because Kevin himself, like I said, is an investor into apostrophe. Questions that I've asked them that they have not given me answers to. They did repost some of my stuff, so they are aware of me. Michael and I have talked a couple of times over the years, so at least in their purview, I'm still someone that's within their sights. But I this is an open invitation to Kevin Mikola, Michael Fisher, both or anyone over at Clicks that can talk about this phone. We It would be an honor to have you on. And if you have the answers to some of these questions, I would love to be able to have you on the show to answer them for the curious consumer. But okay, thank you so very much for those of you over on YouTube. Since I have to play this one thing, I know for a fact YouTube never likes when I do it. So this is where I say au revoir to those of you on YouTube. And I hate to disconnect you guys, but it's just the reality of things. Let me see. I'm still trying to figure out though on Rumble Studio how to end the stream to you guys. So let me get this. Huh? Where's my stream yard? Just give me a moment. Okay. I'm using Rumble Studio for this one, so I need to figure out how to end. It's supposed to be like a drop arrow. Oh, yeah, okay. I found it. YouTube, thank you very much. Jump over to Rumble, jump over to Play TV.